What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Just Be Real podcast. I'm your host, Marissa Tong. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode. Before we get into today's really juicy and really just amazing conversation, this is a guest episode, but we're going to talk about that in a second. So, I am currently in the midst of a move, probably the biggest move of my life. To be honest, I haven't moved much in my life, only from apartment to apartment or from house to apartment. And I am currently getting ready to move and pick up my life and move across the country. If you guys have been listening to this show or you know anything about me or you've been following me for a couple years or a couple months or a couple days, whatever, you probably know that I am a Jersey girl. I was born and raised in Jersey, specifically Bergen County. Shout out to the Bergen County girls, okay? And even though like I've had a big New York City influence, obviously like being so close to New York City and getting the opportunity to like train in the city with dancers and choreographers, and also having worked in the city for like a startup company, corporation, like it, I've just spent so much of my time here and I'm getting ready for this next big chapter in my life. Today, actually, the day that you guys are listening to this, obviously this is pre-recorded, but the day that you're listening to this, I am on my way to SoCal. I'm going to be living in Southern California and I'm really, really excited to just embark on a new journey and start my life. And this is something that I've been wanting to do for the past, I don't even know, like I've just always known that I wanted to live in California. I kind of hint at that in this conversation, even though when this conversation with Nichelle was recorded, probably like mid-December, I had not finalized anything as far as my move, but I was definitely like researching places. I was definitely just, looking to move, but nothing was finalized yet. And this was something that me and Nichelle had also talked about briefly before we started recording. So you are going to see like some hints and things like that in the episode. But obviously, like if you guys follow me on social media, you probably have seen I've announced my move recently. And if you guys are subscribers to my Substack, which if you're not subscribed, please go subscribe. I think most of my email people, whoever, if I have your email, you are automatically subscribed to my Substack. But if you're not, you should definitely go check it out because in my last post, I talked all about leaving New Jersey, the reasons I'm leaving, exactly what I'm looking for in this new chapter of my life, what inspired this move, how long this process has been, and looking, to move and find a home and all that good stuff. And we will also dive in a little bit more on this podcast. So probably like next week in a solo episode, we will dive more into just my process in moving and how that's been and adjustments and all that good stuff. So we will definitely talk about it. But I just wanted to give you guys the heads up that because I am going through such a major transition right now, and I am also the sole and the only editor, producer, whatever of this podcast right now. Like I literally do everything from sitting down, recording, setting up the room, setting up the lighting, setting up the audio, to editing, exporting, uploading, like all that good stuff, literally everything. So at this time, at this point, I just feel like 2 episodes a week is just a little bit much for me as I'm going through this big transition and phase. So we will be having episodes only on Wednesdays for, the meantime. I am looking to bring back 2 episodes. I just don't know when. So I don't have a date for that. And I want to be, one of my biggest goals and the main thing that I'm always focused on is just consistency. Like, how can I show up for not only my audience, but for myself consistently in a way where it's not stressing me out or I'm putting like extra pressure on myself? Because please believe, honey, like the pressure is always there. I'm always feeling the pressure, just being a business owner and an entrepreneur. So I want to relieve myself of some of that pressure and just allow myself to be present during this move and really allow myself to adjust and settle in. So that being said, episodes will be airing only on Wednesdays, and we're going to try to get that out to you all at once on all platforms. So Spotify, Apple, YouTube. If you guys are subscribers to one of those, you will be getting the podcast on one of those platforms on Wednesdays. And the good thing is that these podcasts will also now be longer. So I don't know if you guys have noticed in the past two episodes have been about an hour. Okay. And usually episodes are about 30 minutes. So the past year that we've been putting out these episodes, all episodes have been like 30 minutes or less. Like I feel like the longest episode that we've put out is like 45 minutes, but you guys will be getting longer, juicier, more real, authentic, genuine content, which I'm really excited about. The conversations are longer, the interviews are longer. I'm also going to be adding some extra bonus content to my guest episodes. So before we dive in, because sometimes, you guys don't know the guest or it's kind of just like jumping into it. And I want to kind of unpack it. So I want to give you guys like a heads up of what we're going into, how I reflected on the conversation, how the conversation impacted me, the relationship I have with the guest, all that good stuff. There's just so much that we don't really get to touch on when we are sitting down with our guests. So I think it's really cool to kind of just like record these little mini solo episodes before diving into the guest episodes. I really hope that you guys enjoy this conversation with Nichelle. Nichelle is a digital creator. She is also a dancer. She's a creative. She's also a fellow water sign. Shout out to my water signs. And yeah, Nichelle she's such a light. Her energy is magnetic. She's full of positive energy, real authentic energy. She's down to earth. She's from my hometown, not necessarily like the same hometown, but Bergen County wise. And we have mutual friends and colleagues, which I think is really, really cool. But this conversation sitting down with Nichelle was actually the first time that we were getting to sit down in person and have a real face-to-face conversation. So this was really exciting. I feel like we were just naturally on the same page. Like we've been following each other for quite some time. And I've seen Nichelle, just in action in like dance videos and visuals. And she works with one of the girls on my team in previous projects. So it's just really cool to just sit down with her and dive deep into this conversation of moving and transitioning. And this is one of the reasons I wanted to sit down and kind of just, brief you guys on the transitions and the changes happening in my life right now, because I think it's really important to just be transparent and honest with you guys as my audience. Like this is my community. I'm looking to continue to grow this community, build this community, show up as myself, also inspire you guys to do scary things that make you feel uncomfortable. We talk about that a lot on this show, just getting outside of your comfort zone. And we are going to dive really deep into that today with this conversation with Nichelle. So I really hope you guys enjoy. I hope that this conversation leaves you feeling inspired. If you have been thinking about moving, honey, by the end of this conversation, you gonna be looking for your next apartment or house, okay? Or your flight. Your flight better be booked by the end of this conversation, honey, okay? Because we are talking about real shit. We're talking about moving, expanding, getting outside of your comfort zone, leaving your hometown. So if you are ready to dive into this conversation, then let's get real and enjoy.